Big Fat American Podcast, and we welcome back a good friend of New HD, Diana from Trope. And wow, you certainly have been keeping busy through COVID-19 conditions. And I have to tell you that there have been many interviews between the last time that we have spoken in which I have played your cover of Tears for Fears Shout, which is an amazing song, and we'll play that
Thank you
later
so much
on.
for doing that.
You're very welcome. Big fan. Okay. Um, I'd like you to talk a little bit about your new album, and I think I got it down. We had a little, I guess, instruction on how to say this. Eleutheromania. Am I
Almost there.
close?
You're so close. That's like
So, tell me how do you say it?
Eleutheromania.
Eleutheromania. Okay, Eleutheromania.
Yes.
How did you come up with Eleutheromania?
Luckily, I didn't. Moonhead came up with the name.
Oh, thank you, Moonhead.
Yeah,
Should get him
he's
on the interview with us. Okay,
yeah
so
he's he's
Moonhead did it.
he's really good with names. Yeah, coming up with like song names and stuff like that. So yeah, he came up with a name, and it's just meant to encompass kind of the general thing that we were exploring with the album. Eleutheromania means a manic zeal for freedom, so we really explored a lot of those thoughts in the album lyrically.
Hmm. All right. So, eleutheromania is, you explain how to say it, maybe for somebody who's watching or tuning in right now to the podcast, give us the breakdown of how an easy way to remember how to say it.
So someone who repairs guitars is a luther. So that's like the first half of the word, and then the country Romania. So you just put it together, and it's a Luther Romania.
Eleutheromania. Now, you realize that if a Lutheran is listening right now, they're ecstatic because, oh my gosh, we're being mentioned as a group. Wow, they're a good one for the Lutherans. Eleutheromania. Got it. And Romania. Now, Trope in your band's history, you have a real connection to Romania, and I guess you might say Eastern Europe. Europe. You want to talk about that?
That was honestly insane how that kind of happened. Um we ended up in Romania kind of by accident. Like we were just pointing our finger on a map and being like, "Where do we go?" Because we were in Europe. We were supposed to have gone on a tour that, like, I think 3 days or so before it was happening, just got canceled. So we still had our tickets and everything, and we ended up in Romania in this area called Sector 6, and it felt like certain stars were aligning in some weird way. Like we just were got really creative and wrote a bunch of music and met some just incredible people and played shows there. The venues are amazing, the sound is great, the sound engineers are all wonderful, and yeah, so it just, and then I realized, like, already once we were there, that Romania was in the album name. So it was just this kind of like funny little lamppost, if you will, if you believe in that stuff. I like to believe that there are little like signposts along the way. So
Yeah, I mean, there's no such thing as coincidence, and certain things happen along the way that inspire you for some reason. And even if it was to make a difference in the life of one person, it's always worth it when you help in meaningful ways. The song "Shout" that you cover from Tears of Fears, it's on Eleutheromania, and I
well
just
done.
thank you. And every time that I've played it for some famous rockers along the way. I mean, really well-known rockers, and I've shared you with that each and every time I would send you a text or message you. Every time we always get goosebumps when we hear it. The hair stands up. I mean, it
Oh,
evokes some sort of emotion. Just gets to you. And I think that Liberty DeVito said it best. Like, here she is, she's shouting. I mean, and it's a bit of a different message than the original shout, but I can hear her shouting. She's like really trying to get something out and say it. And I thought, yeah, she is.
oh,
So
thanks.
what is it exactly you're trying to say?
It's funny because I was just thinking about this, but the song "Shout," to me anyways, there's just certain lyrics in the song. I mean, I like all the lyrics, but there's some lyrics that really, really stood out to me. Like, for example, when they say, "Those one-track minds that took you for a working boy, kiss them goodbye. You shouldn't have to jump for joy," you know?
Mm,
And then the chorus, just shout, shout. I think it's just to me the song is all about not just accepting the status quo, not accepting the treatment, not accepting the way we kind of just put each other in boxes, you know? Like we're so much
Oh,
more than we give each other credit for, and sometimes we're in these situations where we feel they're like maybe they could be so many different things. It could be like a bit of a hostage situation that we put ourselves in, or different like jobs or whatever it is that we're just not content in, and we shouldn't like, or even the status quo of the world or our country or whatever it is that we shouldn't just because we're here feel like we need to smile about it or
right.
appease, you know. It's okay to just to not be okay, you know, with the status quo, and to say something about it and to want to change it, even if that's internally as well, you know.
Well, I think that those are all good thoughts. I just think for somebody in my position, even though I don't like a lot of the labels, I don't like how a guy like me has been depicted over the past 5 or 6 years. I don't think it's fair because you can't just have a blanket statement about what a person is based on the way they look or their age or their gender. I really don't think it's fair.
Hmm.
And at the same time, I don't think that if I was to even say those things, that I would last very long. I'd be canceled. I
Hmm.
think this idea of uh, you really disturb me as an individual. You offend me, so therefore I'm going to cancel you. Or I don't like the way you're talking. I'm going to cancel you. I don't like your political point of view. I'm going to cancel you. Or you've seen it time and time again. Now, not everybody that has been canceled is somebody that I agree or disagree with. I just don't think it's fair.
I
And
think that's a really, I totally agree. I think it's a really big problem. Like it's, yeah. And then
yeah,
also like something that you may have said like 15 years ago that, I mean, I just think we're all subject to evolution. So not giving giving someone the chance to evolve and just discover new ideas, or even learn maybe about different perspectives, that maybe they can think about something differently, or not, you know. Like it's just I agree, yeah.
yeah. Also,
Sometimes
too,
it's really
like
really unfair.
how many times have you seen somebody that made a remark a year or two ago and they bring it up and now they get fired? Well, excuse me. If it was okay 2 years ago and you let it go by, let's not make a big deal of it now. Like you have no, and I don't mean you, but the person that's all upset about it has no skeletons in their closet. They never made any mistakes, or uh, as a teenager, you didn't say something stupid, or
Yeah.
all
I
of
mean,
those things.
I think at any age we're so fallible. Like that's just human nature. You know, we're always learning and stumbling on rocks, and then having to pick ourselves up again, and then it's just we're all on a different like curve of like you know of learning. So it's just yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I
it's
like that.
it's great.
Eleutheromania is fascinating in about you have a variety of tracks in this album, and I guess when someone asks me what kind of band is Trope, I go, well, a really good band. How's that? A rock band. You want more specific? Progressive rock? I mean, to me, maybe a replacement for Rush. I don't know. I don't know how to explain Trope.
Wow,
So
very
I'll
good
ask you
question.
that question, because I'm having a hard time explaining sometimes when people go, how would you define Trope? I'm like, great music. What do you want from me? Good rock band. But it never seems to be enough. So how would you describe Trope
Yeah,
as a band?
I think Trope is an alternative rock band with progressive elements. So that's like the very like I think most accurate description. Our next album, that said, is turning out to be very progressive. So once we release that, then maybe calling us a progressive alt rock band, it would be more of an accurate thing. But
Yeah.
right now we're an alternative rock band with progressive elements. And I mean, yeah, just like very influenced by bands even like Soundgarden, who had a lot of songs in differing time signatures that you may not have noticed because they were more focused on the song, or maybe the song itself, than like making you aware of the fact that they're changing time signatures throughout. So that's what we try to do as well, like have things really flow, so that the listener might not listen, might not hear it on first take, but if they deep dive, or if they're interested in those kind of technical music sides of things, then they would pick it up.
I think that you'd be surprised how many times people miss something that's part of a song and have to listen to it for years before they finally catch on. I think I was listening to America, Sister Golden Hair Surprise. I could have swore that there was a count at the end, like 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm like, I have never heard that before. Um,
Oh,
Sometimes I will listen to a song like this happened a while ago, but I immediately thought of this. Never paid attention to the drumming on Hot Legs by Rod Stewart.
okay.
First off, Carmine Appice, who's the drummer on that, is a friend of mine. I've known him for a long time, over 20 years, right? And I noticed that, wow, he hits the cymbal every, well, not every time, but in unique places when they go hot legs, right? And I never noticed that before. I'm like, hey, Carmine, what made you decide to hit the cymbal when he says hot leg? I mean, it was just, oh, that's really interesting. Or when I listened to um We Didn't Start the Fire, right? Is that the Billy Joel song you like, Soph?
Yeah.
We didn't start a fire. And I'm listening to the drummers, the drumming in there. Liberty DeVito, another friend, he was with Billy Joel band, and I noticed, well, they brought some bongos in on that. I never really paid attention to how good the drumming is in that song until more recently, and I thought of it. Um,
Yeah,
Same
it is
thing,
cool to
yeah.
pick those
It
things up.
happens with
Like,
all bands, right?
yeah,
That you've discovered something new. What are some of the bands that inspire you and Trope besides Soundgarden that you mentioned?
yeah. I think Carnival is another band that we really really like. They are also they're quite a progressive rock band. I personally really like Incubus, Porcupine Tree, uh, Nina Simone, Jeff Buckley are my favorites, especially Nina Simone. As of now, she's my favorite artist of all time.
Mhm.
I love Seal. We love Tool and Perfect Circle, and there's so many bands. I don't hmm.
Oh, well, I mean, if you wanna talk new
Deftones,
bands. Yeah,
Alice in Chains. A lot of the the '90s alt rock movement stuff inspired us. Some classical music as well.
right.
It is really a big soup. Like old English books inspire me lyrically that I read when I was like 12 or something. So
That's great. No, that's good. That's good. Um, I'm gonna play "Shout," and then we'll play a track from, Eleutheromania in a little while, one of the
Shout is
newer ones.
also on Eleutheromania as well.
Yes, I know. I checked the whole, track listing, and then we got the, Pareidolia?
Pareidolia, yes, you got
Pareidolia. Thank you for, the tongue twisters. You're making, this is why disc jockeys are gonna
Thank
here's the
Buddha.
latest from Trope.
Thank Buddha for
This is why
that.
we have the player. You can read it for yourself. Yeah.
There you go.
Um, but we're gonna play "Shout," one of my favorite songs, and everybody I play it for, and members of the New HC Air staff, they all go crazy over it. Uh, as you know, I've sent it to some programmers with some big media companies, right?
Thank you for doing
Uh,
that.
you didn't get any negative feedback from it, so that's good. We played it for all kinds of famous rockers, and they all loved it. I think they're afraid to say anything else, but yeah, it's great because I'm 6'4", built like a linebacker, and I'll just
Well,
charge
also
them.
because maybe the music's kind of okay.
No, the music is
No,
exceptional,
but
but
seriously, I have to say like that you're championing us and sharing this stuff is awesome and it's so appreciated. And not
well,
a lot of, I mean, from our experience, anyways, not a lot of people will go to bat for you, and so it just means a lot that you're doing that. So
well,
thank you.
Diana, as you know, you've become an adopted part of our family here, so I'm not gonna,
Does that
Uncle
mean I get
Zach,
cake
Uncle Zach
too?
will
Do
take care of it.
snacks come with this deal?
Was that
Do
snacks?
snacks come with this deal?
What kind of snacks you got?
I like muffins, I like donuts, I like cake, and I like sorbet ice cream.
See, we are related.
In violent times, you shouldn't have to sell your soul. In black and white, they really ought to know. Those one-track minds that took you for a walking boy. things I can do without. Come on, I'm talking to you. Come on, they'll give you life, and in return you gave them hell, as cold as ice. I hope we live to tell the tale. I hope we live to tell the tale. Let it all out. These are the things I can do without. Come on, I'm talking to you. Come on, shout. I'm talking to you. Shout. I'm talking to you. Shout. I'm talking to you. Come on. Shout. I'm talking to you. Shout. I'm talking to you. Shout. I'm talking to you. Come on.
Well, it did it again. My hairs are going up on my arms. I get all goose pimples every time I hear it because it's such a well produced, emotionally packed song, and it's better than the original. You actually made it your own. So I could just imagine a kid, 14, 15, turning on the radio, new HD, yay, and hearing that, thinking, wow, man, that Trope can really write songs. I mean, that's what you did to that song. You made it your own. So bravo on that. That's got to make you feel really good.
Zach, yeah, I mean, thank you. It's definitely. I mean, I to pass the hat to Moonhead for a second and his arrangement on it. It's just, yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, we got to get him on one of these days because it's brilliantly put together, right? Brilliantly arranged. Nobody would. There's where the genius comes in on how he did that, how he
Yeah.
was able to craft the sound because it definitely is a departure from the original dramatically in sound.
Yeah.
It's like, if you listen to an old Howlin' Wolf song or Willie Dixon song, and then listen to Led Zeppelin 1 and what Led Zeppelin did to some of those songs, it's the only thing that I can equate it to, like taking that and making it into something heavy. Now, your album, Eleutheromania, we play every track on New HD. You know that, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
And what I used to like to do was every time we played a band, including Trope, it would go at Trope the band, and you would be alerted via the tweet. But now Twitter sucks, and they've clamped down on that kind of stuff because too many tags and yeah, I'm really abusing Twitter by doing that. By letting the world know about various artists and the causes that we represent. I mean, I'm so sorry that Twitter is having such a hard time with it. Meanwhile,
So it
you
doesn't
know,
notify you anymore, or what is?
well, I mean, we still do the tweets, but it doesn't tag the artist, so you have no idea that we're playing you unless you follow
Oh,
us.
okay.
Yeah, it
Okay,
kind of sucks. So anyway, and what that would do is if I went at Trope at Robert Plant, check out this. It can't do that anymore. So
oh, okay.
yeah,
I didn't
I
know that.
just want to say again, Twitter sucks. Um, well, yeah, social media overall has been bastardized. It does pretty much suck. I mean, I can't go on social media these days and not walk away from it with a bad mood. It's like just like, come on, does
I
everybody have to give their pithy little comments about everything going on and let me know what the news is?
Yeah, I think social medias can be very harmful for our mental health, but we're not talking about that enough, but
No,
we will, I'm
no,
sure
but I
it'll
just,
come, things take time to like then get not exposed, but shown more light upon. So
yeah.
I'm
Well,
sure
listen,
we'll be talking about the
I,
effects of socials on our mental health pretty
I,
soon.
I just, I
A
just
lot
had to
more
let
so.
that out. It was just annoying me. I just wanted to say, like, the one good thing I was doing got stopped. I mean, they don't stop the bad stuff; they stop the good stuff. But anyway,
Well, if you keep
we
doing the good thing, eventually it'll break through.
yeah, let's change focus. Let's talk about some of the other tracks on Eleutheromania, which I'm so glad that we had that discussion, the linguistics on how to say it. I'm so proud of myself that I'm doing so well with it. Um, every single one of the songs is fantastic on the album. Every single one. And I think there's like, correct me if I'm wrong. There's either 10 songs or 14. I lost count. How many songs are on the album?
It's a 10 that might feel like 14, but yeah, there's just
There's
10.
there's 10. All right. I
There
knew
were
I knew
4
it was
singles, so that's why there's 14 tracks like in our Spotify right now.
okay. All right. See, I was somehow subconsciously putting that together, but the average album is 10 tracks. All right. Average album goes about 45 minutes. You know,
Yeah,
45 to 50 minutes. Okay, so there we have it.
yeah.
And um I don't like what was the process of putting the album together? How much was done pre COVID-19 and during COVID-19?
So everything was done pre-COVID-19. The whole album was tracked and mixed and mastered beforehand. And the process was we recorded the album in Vancouver at Armory Studios and Hipposonic Studios. We did most of it in Hipposonic, which was formerly Little Mountain Sound, and we worked there with Mike Fraser, who engineered the album, and Moonhead was produced the whole album, and then we sent it to David Bosher, who then mixed it out of Toronto, and then to Ted Jensen, who at the time was in New York, and he mastered it
All right, good job.
there, and yeah, it all
I
came
just
together.
wonder if Ted did my form of mastering where you just bring in an Adobe Edition and use a multiband and you go raise the vocals and hit. I wonder how he did it.
I don't know. Ted is a magician
Yeah,
in his
well,
realm. He is absolutely wonderful and a wonderful human. Like he and his partner Diane, his wife Diane, they're just really really good people. And yeah,
that's good.
it's been nice through this to get to speak to them more and get to know them a bit better.
Uh,
Like they've
I
just
got to
been
talk to
really
Ted
great
because I
champions of
want
us.
to know what his secrets are because he did a really good job mastering it. I did a Duke Ellington album and I just pretty much did what I told you, and they thought it was terrific. And I'm like, oh, very great. Well, all
Yeah,
right, let's.
Ted's mastered like almost every album that not almost every album in the world, but like he's like name an album that you heard of, he's probably mastered it. Like he's just yeah, he's just done so much work.
Okay, it's good. I like that. I'll have to check them out. So, I hope that you're doing well. Now, I know that there were a couple pictures you had on awful social media that did make me happy, and it showed you having a stack of albums that you were sending in. I guess you were doing the send and send kind of thing. A lot of work in your part. Maybe
It
Moonhead
doesn't
can
stop
like
there. I
help
write
out.
everyone a note as well.
That's great. No, that's the way to do it. It's oh, we're still waiting for it to show up via the post office, right?
It should
So
be there
yeah,
soon.
it should
Yeah,
be there soon.
I shipped it a while
Um,
ago, so yeah.
okay, it should get here. But anyway, you've been really busy, and now you're working on a new album while you're sending out this album, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, we
so
are.
tell us a little bit about this new album and when we can expect it to be released and maybe give us a tease about some of the tracks that are coming out. And are you going to do any other covers?
We are slated to do a cover an album, so that's for sure.
Oh, that's a great idea. It's
Pretty much,
brilliant.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many songs that we love that we want to kind of explore in this trope kind of soundscape or whatever. And so yeah, so definitely we'll be doing a cover. Not sure exactly which one yet, but the album itself is turning out to be quite progressive. Right now, we're just working on like idea snippets. So Moonhead has a couple, like has a bunch of different produced tracks, and I'm working on melody ideas to them, and we're just kind of looking at things very piecemeal at this point. And
Mhm.
so far, it's shaping up to be quite progressive. It's going to be a lot more progressive than the current album that we just released, and there will be a lot more like harmonies and just different kind of things that we explore.
Fantastic. How would you define progressive? Because that's something that I think is really hasn't been quite defined in some time. Like
Yeah.
it's a generational thing. For instance, I would call yes progressive, but you wouldn't call that progressive anymore. Same thing with maybe I don't know. Prog rock is a whole different genre, and I got to tell you, I'm really kind of ignorant when it goes down
It's
that path.
confusing. Yeah, I'm confused about it myself. So the way I think about it, and maybe it's wrong or right, but progressive to me is two things. It's one of them is potentially if songs have a lot of time signature changes or not common time signatures, like if they're in a 7 or in an 8, sorry, 9, not an 8, or a 15 or a 5, or if they do that kind of jump, that to me is something that feels progressive to me. And then also if songs don't follow a standard verse chorus bridge out, whatever, chorus out type of
I see.
so if the structurally it's not progressive, like sometimes progressive music to me feels like it has a bit of almost like a classical structure where
Right.
things like evolve and there's no chorus even, so
Mhm.
if things take turns, like lots of different turns or things, then that as well to me feels like a progressive element. So I think those two things to me make up a or individually make up a progressive song.
No,
I
I
might be
kind of
wrong, so I
yeah.
it is a tricky it is weird how it's like a bit of a not super clearly defined thing.
Well, it's kind of an enigma, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you just don't know what direction it's going to take. I guess in that genre, from what I remember, I can't say it's my favorite genre because of that. I don't know how you even define it, but you're right. A lot of change up, a lot of unexpected things, and sometimes really thematic when they put it together.
But it really depends because like for example for us we like to in some ways hide the so, the obvious progressive elements, so we
that's
are
that's really progressive.
maybe, but it's like we love songs and things that are song based, like Soundgarden for example, like kind of like they hid some of their progressive, like you might not know that, oh, they're writing in this like cool crazy time signature or whatever, so
Mhm.
we like things to flow, and there are some bands that are more ostentatious or obvious in their progressivity or progressiveness, like where you all of a sudden you can hear, oh, there's a time change there, you know what I mean? So we
Yeah.
like to kind of we like groove and like almost like Neanderthal drum sounds,
Good,
like
good,
things that
good.
you can talk to.
Smooth type of transition. I
Yeah,
love
we
the
like things to
bass.
flow.
I really love what you guys do with the bass and that crunchy guitar sound, you know? So, you definitely maybe just, Trope is, a band that has no specific genre that you could, really qualify or quantify. Maybe you're just your own,
Maybe,
That's
yeah.
kinda cool.
I think alternative rock is again probably the most accurate thing for us right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not that labels really matter. Well, like I told you before we go back to the beginning of the conversation, just a
Yeah.
great rock band. I mean, can you just be a great rock band? Do we really have to get into all the specifics? Now let's move over to this Pareidola. Did I say it like Pareidola?
That's a
Pareidola.
way
En
prettier way of
français,
saying it, actually.
Pareidola. Yeah. All right. So how I say
J'aime ça beaucoup.
it?
Pareidolia.
Okay, great. See, now I'm stuck between languages. All right, let's move over and play it right now. Paradola.
Merci, oui.
I know how to hurdle, going about, open to any your good grace.
you got in the scream at the end. I mean, how did you do that? Because anytime I try that, forget it. I just can't do that screaming kind of stuff. That's an
You
amazing song. Tell us a little bit of the background. First of all, before you even start, the fuzz box on the bass is brilliant, right? That is just totally awesome. How he takes that bass and makes it into a sound that is really an out of tune electric guitar to me, right? I mean,
yeah, I
however
get
you
it.
explain it, he did something amazing with the bass that you just don't that up. Kudos on that.
Yeah.
Drumming, fantastic. Guitar playing. This song got everything. Take us through the genesis of this song.
Yeah, so this version of the song is not the album version. It's the single version. The single version was mixed, produced, and mastered by Moonhead. Um, and I think we just really wanted a kind of a certain type of drum approach, and then also we wanted the scream in at the end of this song, and that wasn't on the album version because I didn't know how to do that at the time. So
Yeah, well, it takes some work to do that. Yeah.
yeah, like I actually learned it just for this song, like because it just felt like it needed it, you know. We were just like, oh, it'd just be really great to have that in there, like just because the band is going crazy, you know, and just to have that like energy in that part. But yeah, the song, how did it? I guess writing wise, it started with a track, and this one was took, anyways, me personally a really long time because Moon had passed me the track and it changes time signatures a lot. Like it's constantly jumping around and again it doesn't sound like it is, but and just writing to that was really tricky for me at first. So yeah, it took a while, and then it took a while for me to know what the song was about, and for that to kind of reveal itself. And yeah, and I don't know, this is one of my favorite trope songs just because I feel like it's us, you know, it's like it's just very concise and explosive and energetic, and it's an affirmation of presence
Mm.
and just of standing up for one of evolution. Actually, it's like it's just for me, I still come back to it and find things in it, you know, that I find useful. Just because I was finding it, I was just going through a really challenging time when I wrote the lyrics of the song,
Hmm.
and I just didn't know how to find a way out. You know, how to get through all the layers of like either denial or the layers of lies that we tell ourselves or that we believe. You know, or just or feelings of like betrayal or all these different like plethora of shit. You know, sorry, excuse
Yeah,
me.
plethora of shit's a way to put it. It felt every day I wake up, I go, "This is a plethora of shit." So we're on the
Yeah,
same wavelength there. Yeah, I hear I feel plethora of shit every day,
oh,
and
sorry.
bullshit on top of that, and
Yeah. Sometimes you
d-
just feel inundated, you know, and it's just
yeah,
like you're not sure what the way through is. And so I think what I found through writing this song is the way through is through inward, and just I know that sounds cheesy, but like kind of just figuring like how do you figure yourself out more, you know, how do you become more aware of what is versus what is the lie or the rose tinted glasses we wear, you know, to
you're mentioning some themes that have been brought up by other bands. In Theory is one of them. Um, Empty Trail, another one out of Texas. I think you might know Rick
yeah,
Lambert.
yeah,
Yeah,
we were
I adopted him too.
oh my god,
I
wow.
adopted you. I adopted
Building the
Whitney. I
fam.
adopted Rick, and I'm going to declare all of you on the taxes. I'm going to write you all off now.
That's awesome.
Um, so he was saying some of the sort of the same things that you're saying, and never had this conversation with Whitney. I don't know where she is on all of this stuff, but it seems like, and there's a song, I don't know who the band is, but there's a song called Nowhere Generation. We're of the Nowhere Generation. You've heard that song, maybe? Rise Against. That's the name of
Okay.
the band.
Yeah.
And I sit there and I'm getting ready to play it. I always do the same thing. I go, man, I was born right at the end of the baby boomer era. So December 29th, just a few days left in 1964. So am I really a baby boomer? Am I Generation X? Now, I like the baby boomer guys. I mean, I was raised by World War II people. That was totally awesome. It's like John Wayne's, one after another, right? And then you had Generation X. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. then the Y generation, the millennials, and I think we're up to Generation Z. I don't know where you were on all of these. And I thought to myself, no matter what the generation is, I feel like I'm part of the nowhere generation. Yeah, like nobody's really paying attention or hearing me, or I don't know where to go, where I fit in. I don't really relate. I look at some of the people that I went to school with. I think, oh my God, you didn't age well at all. What the hell? What have you been doing to yourself? Not that I haven't aged, but I'm like, oh my God, you look like you got hit by a train. Um, so, I don't, I love hanging out with older people to hear the stories over and over again, but it's the people in my age group. Just, and then I kind of like the younger people because I think they're energetic. But at the
Mhm.
same time, I think that, I'm hearing some of the same things from people in your age group. What's going on?
I mean, I don't know. I don't even. I don't know if it's an age group thing specifically. I mean, basically, like the song is like partly about, and I don't know if this is again age specific, but when you go so much out of your way to try to appease people and to try
Oh,
to be an image of something that's not authentic or true to yourself, and then you end up getting like backstabbed or effed over or whatever, and then you just realize like, I mean, when the cycle just keeps, whatever the cycle is, when it keeps perpetuating, at a certain point you just got to look at yourself, and so that's what pareidolia is about. And I don't know if that's an age specific thing or if it's a universal thing.
no, no,
It's
it's
just
just a
this
human.
cyclical behavior and programming
Yeah.
that we're trying
Yeah.
to unravel through knowing ourselves more.
Wh-
um
What, what
that's
do
what
you,
this song is about. It's painful, like it's
it,
evolution it changes hard, and
well,
it's aggressive, and that's I guess what pareidolia is meant to
and you
represent.
attack the microphone, you're angry, right?
Yeah, it is. It's everything. It's messy, like it's not. uh yeah, and yeah. So I mean, I don't. Yeah, I don't know if that's
So,
age specific, but
I guess, do you think that by your art, that it's cathartic for you and that it helps stabilize you when you're not on stage? In other words, when you're just doing the typical Diana day and you're, hanging out with dad or, just thinking about what you want to do next or having a muffin. Do you think that all of that energy that you pour into express yourself is cathartic and it stabilizes you and it makes you feel better?
oh, I don't know what life would be without it. I know that sounds like, but no, seriously, like I'm obsessed. So I don't know. It's just it is a catharsis for me. It's hugely
Good.
cathartic, and I need it. And it's just like and that's why like it's funny because like I had to release this out. We had to release this album for me to then get obsessed with
The next
with
one.
the next one, and also
Yeah.
diving into the next layers of like even like maybe deeper layers of stuff that were hidden through denial or that I didn't want to look at, that now I'm obsessing over how to talk about.
Okay.
So it is deeply cathartic, yeah.
Well,
And it's
what are some of those things that really deep down bother you that you have to express and release? Or
uh
is that your secret?
no, I mean, uh so there's a few reasons to not get too specific. One of them is just like if it's, I like things to be somewhat open ended so that someone listening can draw whatever situation in their life
Very good. Yeah.
that is relevant to them. But I will say that in this case, it does have to do with some of the childhood, deeper issues that I think I didn't want to look at honestly for so long, or
Okay.
face like or see, or admit to for very very long. Some of that stuff can be, can take time, or in my case it's taken a long time. So it's just been challenging. So but I see how it still affects me and impacts me. So it's something that I finally feel like I have, because of the previous learning or whatever, just learning more about myself, or through the music or exploring ideas. I feel like I'm ready to now talk about this with a clearer perspective that doesn't
That's
have
good.
a bunch of layers of denial or
If you have a
bullshit.
list of people that bullied you, just send it to me with their address. I'll take care of it.
It goes much
You
further than
just well, I'm
that.
just, I just like telling people that. Send me the list. I'll take care of it. Yeah. Just kidding. I'm not going to take care of it. I don't have time. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
well,
sure that
we take care of it through the music. That's
yeah,
how we take care
exactly.
of
This
stuff
is
like that.
funny. I mean, look, we nobody gets through life unscathed,
No one.
right? And so therefore, you got a choice. You're either going to be frozen, stuck in the mud, or you're going to try to gain some momentum and move out. You take it in perspective. And, here's the other thing. I mean, this is just a human thing. You don't know what it's like to be in the shoes of the other person, right? You don't know what it's like to um, be that person that's in prison, or you don't know what it's like to be that person that has, a severe case of COVID-19. You don't know what it's like to be that person in a wheelchair. You don't know what it's like to be just pick somebody, and you don't
You
know what
never
it's like to be
know what
them.
someone's
You
dealing
don't
with.
know what
Never.
joy or hell that they're going through. So, the best that we can do is be kind to one another. That's it.
I agree, and I'm actually really convinced that almost everyone deals with some kind of mental health issue, whether it's like depression, anxiety, panic attacks. Like at certain points of our lives, I'm sure everyone has or is dealing with that. It's just
Oh yeah.
I really do believe it's like a part of I don't know, like our current existence, just because of how alignment is not something encouraged. It doesn't feel like it's something that's encouraged. It feels like something we have to fight for in ourselves, because
Well,
what's encouraged is more the boxes, or the you should be this, or you should be that, or you should not do that.
oh,
So
well, I
um,
mean, you as an artist, female artist, I'm sure that that's all you've had to put up with your entire. Does anybody like you ever get to the point like, could you just talk to me like you would, uh, you know, a dude, just to put
but
it,
you know what? I
you know?
think we're just like that as humans, so much to each other. I think that it's just a safety thing, maybe, or it's a fear thing. Like we don't. It's scary to look at someone as outside of something that we can understand. In our own, we given our own sets of microcosmic circumstances or upbringings
Right.
or whatever. So it's just
Well, I
yeah,
don't
I
know.
think it's
I don't
universal.
get it. I just see, you know how I am. What you see is what you get, and makes no difference to me. I root for you. I hope that you become enormously successful. And the only thing I ask is when you get the Grammy Awards, I'd just like to thank Zach Martin, who was right on the trope chain from the beginning, man, before everybody else.
Well,
That'd be
now that
cool.
you've got it on a recording, like how can I not?
Now we got proof. All right. Well, listen, thank you so much for talking to us. Love the music. Look forward to what you got coming up. You're a great band. Stick to it. Moonhead is, maybe Moonhead can do something with Moon Unit. I don't think she's very busy. It's just a possibility. Um, we'll have to have Unit on with, no, Moonhead on with you one of these days. That would be a lot of fun because I really want to deconstruct Moonhead, right?
That would be
This
awesome.
guy is an amazing creature. Um,
He is an amazing creature.
we're gonna take
Well,
a quick break, and
thank you, Zach.
coming
Thank you
up
for your time.
next, you're very welcome. Coming up next, the Sophie Martin and 10 questions that will just mesmerize anybody listening or hearing the big fat American pie.